Since the very beginning of time, humanity has grappled with some of the greatest questions ever asked. Why is there evil in the world? If God is all-powerful, why does Satan continue to exist? Why are fallen angels, the agents of chaos and suffering, still allowed to roam free, influencing, deceiving, and corrupting? Is God unable to simply end their existence? These questions are as old as the first stories ever told and the first prayers ever spoken. But to truly understand why God does not, or in some perspectives cannot, kill Satan or the fallen angels, we need to dig deep into the nature of creation, free will, divine justice, and the cosmic drama that has unfolded since before time began. To comprehend this mystery, we must first peel back the layers of religious tradition and philosophical inquiry. In many belief systems, especially in mainstream Christianity, Satan is understood as a created being, once an angel, now the adversary. The fallen angels, those who sided with Satan during his rebellion, are similarly powerful, but finite beings. God, in this view, is infinite, all-powerful, and all-knowing. The question then arises, if God is limitless in his power, why not simply extinguish Satan, eradicate evil, and bring everlasting peace? The answer is neither simple nor straightforward. It weaves together theology, divine purpose, justice, the gift of freedom, and the mysterious ways in which lessons are taught and learned across the cosmos. First, let's explore the concept of free will. When God created angels and humans alike, he imbued them with free will, the ability to choose between good and evil. This freedom is central to love, goodness, and moral development. Without the authentic capacity to choose, love would be coerced, virtue would be meaningless, and existence would be mechanistic, programmed without depth or character. By creating beings capable of choice, God permitted the very possibility of rebellion, and with it, the existence of evil. Satan, by most religious accounts, was an archangel, brilliant, beautiful, and close to the throne of God. But with free will came pride, and with pride, the first rebellion. Alongside Satan, a host of angels also turned against the divine order. They became the fallen, separated from the light of heaven. In that moment, the drama of cosmic good and evil was set into motion. If God were to simply annihilate Satan and the fallen angels, he would, in effect, undermine the very freedom he wove into the fabric of creation. Evil must be allowed to exist for true goodness and righteousness to be meaningful. Love and obedience have weight and value, precisely because their opposites, hate and rebellion, are possible. But there is another layer to this mystery. In the cosmic legal drama described in many religious traditions, Satan has taken on the role of the accuser, presenting charges against humankind, questioning the justice of God's rule, and claiming the right to test and tempt. To simply destroy Satan without allowing the principles at stake to be fully revealed and answered would leave the universe with unanswered questions. Is God truly just? Is his law fair? Will creatures follow him out of love or merely out of fear? By allowing Satan and the fallen angels to exist, God is committed to allowing the universe to fully see and understand the consequences of evil. The story of humanity becomes a living testament, a cosmic lesson book, revealing the fruits of rebellion, suffering, and brokenness. The universe witnesses the grief, the pain, and the ultimate result of turning away from light and life. In this sense, God is not delaying out of weakness but out of wisdom, allowing all created beings to see where evil leads. Furthermore, many traditions describe a coming judgment, a great day of reckoning when every deed is brought to light and every heart is weighed. In this framework, Satan and the fallen angels are given a period of existence, but not eternity. Instead, they are allowed to fulfill their purpose in the cosmic narrative, their fate ultimately sealed by the principles of divine justice, not arbitrary annihilation. This leads us to a third dimension, the consistency of divine justice. God, it is argued, must act in harmony with his own character. Justice, mercy, truth, and love entwine. Destroying Satan prematurely could be seen as an act of sheer might, not righteousness. Instead, it must be judged by the very laws and principles against which he rebelled. Divine justice takes time. It must be seen and understood to be truly just. The courts of heaven must be filled with witnesses, angels, humans, and all other sentient beings, who can testify to the fairness, patience, and rectitude of God's actions. Now, consider the implications of annihilation. If God were to simply erase Satan and his followers at the first moment of rebellion, what message would that send? Would creatures serve out of terror that any dissent would bring instant oblivion? Would freedom then become a facade, mere lip service to choice in a tightly controlled universe? History, both human and mythic, tells us that truth cannot flourish where terror reigns. Instead, truth is most powerful when it is chosen, seen, and experienced. So, God's refusal or inability within the boundaries of his own self-imposed principles to kill Satan is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to a grander story at play. For evil to be truly defeated, not just in deed but in principle, the arguments, accusations, and challenges raised must be answered openly before the watching universe. Another dimension worth exploring is the ongoing process of redemption and restoration. In many theologies, the suffering and chaos caused by Satan and the fallen angels exposes the futility and horror of rebellion. It deepens the longing for forgiveness, healing, and return to a right relationship with the divine. The darkness, as it were, magnifies the value of light. The pain of separation reveals the beauty of reunion. From this perspective, humanity's struggles against temptation, evil, and their consequences are not arbitrary punishments, but opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. The presence of evil compels each individual and community to confront the boundaries of their own character, to choose sides, and ultimately, to affirm freely and with understanding the justice and goodness of God. It's important here to acknowledge that not all religious philosophies agree on every point. In some traditions, evil is not personified as a literal being, but as a force or a byproduct of ignorance. Others see Satan not as equal to God, but as a tempter allowed limited power, with his final defeat already foretold. In these perspectives, God's purpose in allowing evil to exist is bound up with the larger goal of spiritual advancement, clarity, and the ultimate realization of all beings. Even in traditions where Satan and the fallen angels are literal entities, they are always finite, inevitably destined for destruction or reconciliation at the appointed time. The delays, the ongoing existence of these adversaries, serve to fulfill divine timing, to spur transformation, and to give every being in the universe full opportunity to understand, choose, and grow. Let's now reflect on the personal implications of this cosmic drama. Through every story of suffering, temptation, and triumph, individuals are invited to play a role. The daily struggle against evil, whether in the form of selfishness, hatred, or despair, is not just about personal morality, but part of this grand narrative. Each decision, each act of courage, each moment of faithfulness takes place on a stage much larger than we might realize. Our struggles and victories echo into eternity, woven into the tapestry of redemption and revelation. One could imagine that, when the final curtain falls, all justified questions about God's governance, patience, and plans will be forever answered. The universe, having seen the full outworking of both good and evil, will be inoculated against future rebellion. All doubts will be silenced, not through sheer force, but through the overwhelming evidence of history played out. In this metaphorical courtroom, God wins not by exterminating the opposition by decree, but by exposing the bankruptcy of evil and the supremacy of love. Yet the story does not end here. Many believe that, at the appointed time, God will indeed bring an end to evil, Satan, and the fallen angels, not through an arbitrary act, but as the final act in a process that has fulfilled every purpose. Divine justice will be seen to be absolutely fair, divine mercy supremely generous, and divine wisdom unfathomably deep. Until that time, though, we are left with the reality that evil still acts, that temptation still beckons, that suffering is all too real. This too holds lessons for our hearts. Rather than despairing, we are called to ask the deeper questions. What will I choose in the face of evil? Will I love when it is costly? Will I forgive when it is hard? Will I hold fast to hope, knowing the story is not yet over? In these questions, the drama continues, not just across the universe, but within every soul. In summary, the reason why God cannot, or rather does not, kill Satan or the fallen angels is rooted in the fabric of cosmic freedom, the integrity of divine justice, the instruction of all creation, and the ultimate triumph of love over rebellion. Their continued existence is permitted for a time, not because God's hand is weak or his will uncertain, but because the story has not yet reached its appointed conclusion. Every trial, every temptation, every grief, and every victory serve a larger purpose: to reveal truth, to foster spiritual maturity, and to demonstrate the wisdom and justice of the one who holds the universe together. Thus, what might seem to us as delay or inaction is, in divine perspective, a necessary unfolding. Imagine a parent longing to rescue a child from every danger, yet knowing that some lessons must be learned through experience, some wounds must heal with time, and some answers must be lived, not simply given. The parent's love is not diminished by patience. It is magnified by wisdom. So too, in the great drama of good and evil, God allows Satan and the fallen to exist for now, not to gratify their schemes, but to answer every challenge once and for all, to vindicate truth in the eyes of every witness, and to win the allegiance of free hearts who love, obey, and worship not out of compulsion, but out of choice. In the meantime, each of us is invited into this story. Through our choices and our character, we align ourselves with one side or the other. We are given the opportunity every day to say yes to light in the face of darkness, to persevere when hope seems distant, and to become part of the living answer to the greatest questions ever asked. If we hold to this perspective, we realize that cosmic patience is not the same as indifference. Divine justice is not delayed, it is thorough. The end of evil is not forgotten, it is assured, but it will come at the time, and in the manner best suited for the healing and harmony of all things. This, then, is why God does not simply destroy Satan or fallen angels. For the lessons of true freedom, justice, and love to stand forever, the story must reach its perfect end, not prematurely, but at precisely the right moment. Until then, we live, we strive, we hope, and we trust that the author of all things knows how and when to bring every story to its rightful conclusion.